Security is the invisible thread that holds our lives together. It watches over us in airports, at data centers, on schoolyards, behind the scenes. But look closer, and you'll see the women. The ones who have stepped into danger, into silence, into responsibility, who fought to be seen in spaces built to keep them out. Women for millennia were integral to security.
So long, ladies, and history will remember when your country called, you answered.
Safeguarding communities and developing strategies rooted in pattern recognition, relationship building, and holistic thinking. These talents, honed through generations as mothers, wives, workers, and warriors, laid the groundwork for modern security principles. As women enter the professional sphere, forward-thinking leaders recognize something critical. Their collaborative instincts, empathy, and ability to access complex systems weren't soft skills. They were survival skills. In an age where security is digital, physical, global, and personal, more women are stepping forward, and it raises a powerful question. How will their unique strengths reshape and revolutionize our understanding of protection in the 21st century? Who are the women leading today's security movement? How did they get here, and where are they taking us next? Many pioneering female security professionals didn't set out to enter the security field. Instead, they found their way through personal interest, chance encounters, or the encouragement of male mentors who recognized their potential. Whether it was a fascination with the investigation, a knack for risk analysis, or simply being in the right place at the right time, these women's stories reveal how serendipity and passion converged and continue to shape their careers. The daily life of a security professional demands vigilance, quick thinking, and the ability to expect the unexpected. But beyond the challenges and pressures, there's something deeper that draws women to this field and keeps them there.
I started my career in the banking industry, and that's where I got exposed to fraud and criminal activities. That really drove me towards risk and cybersecurity.
When I was in high school and bought my first computer and paid way too much money because I never wanted to write any of my reports and things like that on a typewriter. And that's when I really fell in love with technology.
It was my experience at the United States Military Academy at West Point that introduced me into national security and the concept of security and protection of the country at large.
Many, many years ago, in one of my first jobs, I found myself in the office of the managing director and noticed that he had left his screen without a screensaver. Confidential information on his screen about the future of the company and the plans for the company. And that was sort of my first exposure to the need for simple security operations.
I was working night shift at an IHOP, International House of Pancakes, as a waitress. And I was starting to look for a job. It was the end of my master's. And this guy used to come in every night around 1 a.m, and he'd sit and he'd be doing work. And I sat down with him one night and said, "What do you do for a living?" And he said, "I'm the manager of a security company." And I sat down with him again and I said, "Okay, I want to come work for you." So I decided to go to work for him. It was designing and selling security technology, customizing it for commercial and residential applications. It wasn't what I wanted to do, but it was a great way, being 22 years old and female, to start in the industry.
When I went into the military, then my first duty station was Korea. And in Korea, I worked in a skiff, so I can't go into the details, but what inspired me to stay in security at that time is because technology was being used to hurt humans, and I was not okay with that.
9/11, I was pregnant. I was working in the corporate world at the time. I just remember seeing those first responders and the work that they were doing. And outside of feeling sorry for what was happening at the time and how tragic it was, I just remember feeling, I wish I was there. I wish I could do something. I wish I could help.
I had just started the AIB IT graduate program as a Lotus Notes developer, and September the 11th was my 10th day into the graduate program. Following that, the business needed to make it easy for their capital markets teams to travel. And so the security team needed somebody to research how they could secure mobile devices. And I came up with a secure way to get your Lotus Notes email on devices. And that really sparked my passion around cybersecurity.
I was at high school sophomore year in class, and the bell rang, and it was a lot earlier than normal, so we were all a little confused. I remember I see my dean of students come running through telling us we have to get back into class and to lock the doors. Our Spanish teacher that morning, who was fired, came back onto campus, went straight through our football field and right into the headmaster's office, where he shot and killed her and turned the gun on himself. So this is a direct moment of my passion in ensuring that threat management and proactive security measures are implemented in educational systems and others alike.
So I majored in criminal justice with a minor in accounting. I was working at the time for the Texas Department of Criminal Justice as a correctional officer in a maximum security men's penitentiary. There was a gentleman by the name of Joe Wojcik, who's still in the industry today. He introduced and opened my eyes to the opportunity for the private sector.
I had actually been studying serial killers because I loved crime. I was in the criminology program. But I also loved computers. My father was a mechanic. What are cars if not computers? He would bring computers home. We would put them together. I shifted to bring those two together.
I was a visual information specialist for an intelligence agency, and I got some exposure to cybersecurity incidents and different types of events going on around the world that really intrigued me and had me interested.
I just kind of stumbled across cybersecurity, and the Cybersecurity Workforce Initiative space is really a space that landed with me. It resonated with me. Over 15, 16 years ago, I was a consultant for a National Science Foundation grant, and it was all about cybersecurity educational solutions.
I experienced, witnessed, and observed security incidents, and I had an in-tune feeling about understanding the slowdowns and where we could improve, and I wanted to be a part of that to keep my community safe. I started in the security industry, physical security specifically, and grew into a private sector role as a security and loss prevention professional.
Raised in what was considered back then a developing country, I always had safety and security at the forefront of my mind. I developed a huge sense and the need for security and self-defense. I started practicing martial arts. I believed that could bring me that sense of security, surrounded pretty much by servicemen and law enforcement. And that gave me a glimpse of what the industry was like.
So I graduated in financial economics. I completed my course. I worked in the UK for a non-for-profit educational charity as the membership manager. Still didn't think about cybersecurity as a career. And it's only when I moved to Canada in 2004 that's when I was looking for a job. I started networking. I started reaching out to several different recruiting agencies, and I connected with someone, and she said, hey, there's an opportunity here, and it's for an antivirus company. And I said, I know antivirus because of my university, and my disk was infected and I lost my project. And at that moment, it reminded me of how important it would be saving people from losing their work or losing their information.
I grew up with 3 brothers, so I'm the second child of 4. My brothers were wrestlers, and by default, so was I, whether or not I wanted to participate. I recall coming home from college one afternoon. I had a bag on my shoulder once I crossed the threshold of the door, and I was immediately taken to the ground to grapple. It was their way of showing love. I think having the influence of just being in a male-dominated environment probably was something that had an influence on me going into the security industry ultimately.
It was a Tuesday morning. I was a student at the University of Toronto and getting ready for class, saw the news out of the corner of my eye, and it was the Twin Towers crumbling. I heard the fear and surprise in the newscaster's voice. It really saddened me to think about the number of people who started to live in fear. And I really wanted to try to think through ways I could operate in the world to reduce that feeling of fear in people.
Throughout my life, I learned that I love solving problems with technology, and I had a career in IT, and I was kind of a jack of all trades, master of none, kind of wanted to be something when I grew up, and I looked at my options, and they were, at the time, like cloud, security, and software development, and I chose security, and it chose me back, and we've been choosing each other ever since.
I decided to join the security industry when an opportunity to join Amazon Security Organization came available. I didn't have a connection with security other than being a woman. There are certainly unique and significant threats that can pose challenges for all women. I knew that that would be a great place to fit that aligned with my values. And as I contemplated the security industry, I found that it was very similar to that mission-driven work to prioritize the safety of people and make sure that we're ultimately taking care of everyone.
I was home and my husband had traveled to Nigeria, and I was home studying in the night. I heard a noise on the porch. I now asked, "Who is there?" And they said, "Come and see." That scared me, so I went to call 911. And I decided that I should hide in the pantry, and I found a hammer. So I held the hammer and stayed in the pantry, closed the door, awaiting in anticipation. Thereafter, we went to court, and the guy was later incarcerated. With that event, we decided that we were not going to let it happen to someone else. So we installed a security system in our home, and we said we're going to also assist others.
In 1856, when women were expected to sew, serve, and stay silent, Kate Warren chose something radically different. She became the first lady detective. She proved that a woman's presence could be her greatest asset, gathering secrets behind closed doors and going unnoticed in places no man could enter. Her work helped stop crimes, foil plots, and even protect President-elect Abraham Lincoln. Kate Warren didn't just make history, she challenged it. And in doing so, she opened a door that countless women would one day walk through.
Kate Warren was living in Chicago. She was a widow at the age of 23, and finding a need to secure employment, she found an employment ad in the newspaper, went into the Pinkerton Detective Agency and met with Alan Pinkerton in hopes to secure a job, a role as a detective.
Mr. Pinkerton, I wish to speak with you, not your secretary.
Wait for my secretary, please.
I want to apply for the detective position.
Miss
Kate Warren.
Warren, the notion of a female detective is unprecedented. Now, please, I insist that
A woman is the perfect detective.
I beg your pardon, Miss Warren.
Consider this. Who would suspect a woman of such an endeavor? Servants permit us passage without second thought. Gentlemen confide freely, assuming our interests lie solely in matters of fashion and frivolity. And women, well, women confide in us. They reveal secrets that they wouldn't dream of telling a man. A woman observes what men ignore. We listen, but we also understand what we hear. And we can act without raising suspicion. A man tailing another man draws attention. A woman doing the same, she's running errands or visiting a friend. It's the truth. We've learned to adapt, outthink, and survive without drawing attention. Imagine what we could do once we step out of the shadows and into the role of detective. With your support, I intend to prove a woman's place isn't just in the home. It's wherever the truth needs uncovering.
Miss Warren, I shall expect you in my office tomorrow at the hour of 2. I shall render my decision then.
She was determined. She demonstrated her independence. She clearly understood the value proposition and what she was able to bring to the table, how she could help him and the agency be successful. And she was persistent. She was able to point out those things. She understood that Pinkerton was a man of logic and reasoning. And all of those things are important for women, even today, to recognize and to walk into a role that typically is dominated by males.
The security landscape has long presented unique challenges for women entering and moving within the field. Limited professional networks, scarcity of women mentors, and misconceptions about physical requirements often created invisible barriers. Many women found themselves blazing new trails in security operations centers, executive protection details, and investigation units. While some of these challenges persist today, the industry has evolved significantly. Forward-looking organizations have implemented mentorship programs, family-friendly policies, and professional development opportunities. The result is an increasingly global workforce that leverages different perspectives to create more comprehensive and effective security solutions. But cultural resistance remains an issue, and to this day threatens the advances women have made in the security profession.
In security, I have faced many challenges throughout my 10 years in this profession so far. I have been yelled at. I have been bullied. I have had a guy who believed that he should have had my position despite not applying for it or having anywhere near close the credentials to be a fit for the position. None of these challenges had anything to do with my competency, my ability to be an effective contributor to a team. It all had to do with personality, with tone, with misogyny in the workplace. And these challenges have been really difficult to overcome. But I take some solidarity in the fact that, for better or for worse, I'm not alone in these challenges. There are other women out there who have experienced it too. And that camaraderie, even though it's not right, continues to give me the hope, the resilience, and the energy to keep going.
In my career, in the security profession, then I have dealt with sexual harassment. I have dealt greatly with discrimination. I have dealt with violence. I have been assaulted. That is not because I'm a woman in the security profession, but just because I'm a woman, period. I served 20 years in the Army. All I did was encryption and risk management and security and information systems, information technology, information assurance, information security. And once I retired in 2013, I could not find a job. And when I applied for my first job out of the military, the CEO told me, if you go get, A plus, Network plus, Security plus, I'll give you a job today. And of course, me being an overachiever, I went to a boot camp and I earned 21 security certifications. And this was in a 6 weeks time. And when I went back to think that I was about to get my job, then the guy said, I can't afford you. And so then after that, I was chronically homeless with 2 kids for 8 months.
If I ever write a book, it's going to be titled Decisions Need to Be Made by Hairy Technical Men. And there's going to be a man's hand, fist like that, and maybe with AI, who knows in the future, it will even bang the sound. Back in the day, I was given the task to implement a security monitoring system for an online gaming company, and Splunk was the tool that we picked. Back then, we didn't have security architects. It was, you did everything from selecting the tool to the implementation to rolling it out across the business, implementing the alerts. So I had architected it out. And it was a meeting with key decision holders, the business, the technology, the security team was there. And I presented on the architecture and what we were going to do, as well as the project plan. And one of the business stakeholders in the room asked me a question. What was, a decision point around it? I think it was to do with the costing and the technical architecture. And I immediately answered. And next thing, one of my peer colleagues jumped up, banged the table and said decisions needed to be made by hairy technical men. I didn't say anything. I just took a deep breath and the meeting went on. And now I was the only female in the room at the time, but it kind of stood out to me in my career.
I think the challenge is really when I first started my career was being taken seriously. Having the opportunity to take on the roles that I wanted to take on. There was a lot of stereotyping and bias. I would constantly be pushed towards a more common position that a woman would have, such as project management or maybe doing more policy, paperwork type of activities. That's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a technical security engineer. I wanted to do the work, and that meant that I had to prove myself. So it just took time, and I'm very grateful that I was committed. I focused on self-study, taking on the hard, assignments, volunteering where I could, and then just constantly proving yourself.
I brought my team together, and I told them, I said, Johnson & Johnson is going to create a vaccine. That is going to put us on the national stage like we've never been. And every fraudster, hacker, cracker, you name it, is going to come after us, as is foreign government. Knowing we were up to the challenge, and as the vaccine was created and was rolling out of our Kentucky distribution center, and my team was watching it on video, we had tears that were rolling down our eyes as we realized that we had done it. We had accomplished our mission in security. The vaccine was rolling out not only to the United States, but also to the world and underserved populations to bend the curve on COVID. That's what security is all about and why it is so important.
Some of the challenges that I've faced since joining the profession, they kind of all center on microaggressions, if I'm being honest. It's the walking into a room and having to spend the first 10 to 15 minutes of your conversation establishing credibility when you don't see your male counterparts have to do the same. I'd like to say I have not imposter syndrome, I have inverse imposter syndrome. So I have all these credentials and certifications behind me. So I'm not going to be worried about whether or not I belong in the room. But there's also no way you're going to tell me that I don't belong in the room. So I really do think it's just, hey, we don't know what to make of her sort of I wouldn't even call it a preconceived notion, but there is no preconception. But that also leads to, like I said, just having to establish that credibility when you walk into the room, or maybe just having to go so much further and do so many more things to be viewed at the same level as male counterparts. I feel like women typically have to have more education, have to have more certifications, have to have done more things in their career to prove their value when compared to our male counterparts in the industry, which can be challenging, but I see the challenge as an opportunity just to continue to shatter glass ceilings and inspire those coming in behind me.
It was very important for me at the time to be successful and to be included, be credible in the industry. So I worked probably harder than most people. I didn't want to focus on the fact I was a minority, which I was. I was one of the first women to get my CPP. My first job, managing 60 people, there were only 2 that were female. In every organization, same thing, very small numbers of women, and I can talk more about that. That was difficult. I was a senior executive for a security company, and all of the other people on my level were men. There had never been a woman, and I was doing very well, frankly, better than some of them had done. And one day we were all meeting to discuss a particular common account. We were meeting for drinks at the end of the day, and I was a little bit late because I had been meeting with our boss for my performance appraisal. And when I got to the restaurant, one of them asked me,
"How did your performance appraisal go?"
It went fine, thanks.
"Well, gentlemen, I guess if you take your boss to the motel for the afternoon, you get a good performance appraisal."
I remember being mortified. I couldn't move. I was frozen in time. I wanted to hit him. I wanted to scream. I wanted to strangle him. And I said, "Excuse me." And I left, and I went into my car and cried my eyes out all the way home. And then the next day there was a retreat, so I had to see this gentleman again, and saw him at the retreat. It was a several-day retreat, and I called him over, and I talked to him about it, and I said,
I'm going to be very clear, so listen carefully. What you said was completely illegal, inappropriate, hurtful, and astoundingly stupid. And if you ever say that to me again, in any way, publicly or privately, you will not have a job. And you will have a lawsuit. Are we clear?
You're crazy.
told me how much he was kidding and I was being ridiculous. But I said it again with a very serious, controlled emotion. And he never did. And we actually wound up becoming friends over the years.
Being the only female in the room, coming in and asking a lot of questions, I used to get told you have to smile more. I had to learn how to smile while giving people bad news. It was very odd. I've often been questioned. I've had my work co-opted. I've had people harass me. I've been harassed out of roles. I've had other people get my quals so that they can get fantastic jobs. I love this field, and I know I do great work. And my track record and the programs that I've gotten to build have been really fulfilling. And I know they have an impact on my neighbors, on the people and the citizens of Ontario, the Canadians that I work with. I've had a hand in building the security framework and protecting their assets, their information. I know how important it is. And I know that what I do is meaningful and contributes to, I know it sounds really trite, but contributes to the greater good.
The then chairman, the guy who was running for chapter chairman, Chief Waka, he in fact did invite myself and my husband for dinner in his house. And he appealed to my husband that since my husband was leaving the position of program chairman, for him as a chapter chairman to have a very successful tenure, he wanted me to take over the position of program chairman. And my husband said, for the wife, that's me, a woman, to hold that position, that it was going to be too visible, and he wasn't for it. The guy appealed that he knew my capability when I was a secretary. And for the chapter to be successful, they needed the program to be also very powerful. And he knew I could do that.
I would say probably the biggest challenge was overcoming things internally and really getting the confidence over the years to take chances and realizing that you can't specialize in so many topics. Now we really look to security practitioners as generalists. And I was always worried about not having the answer for everything until I started to develop great teams and rely more on people around me to really help me along the way and to ask for help when I needed it.
So we're going to shift gears a little bit now, and I'm going to ask two of our panelists about some of the challenges they've faced, whether small or big or plentiful, just at various points in their career. So I'd like to start out with Connie.
So I remember when I first got into sales, there was my management team. We had a shared bathroom, and I overheard them talking about me. And they basically said no one would buy anything from me because of the way I looked, because I've always been a full-figured person. And I went up to them, and I had a couple of choice words that I probably shouldn't say up here, and told them that I told them all honestly to f off. And I said, and my next thing to them was, you will never define who I am, I define who I am. And when I mentor young women, I say that all the time, but there's a caveat, you need to be self-aware, because if you're not self-aware, you can't improve. And if you can't be honest with yourself where your strengths and weaknesses are, I think it's hard to grow.
Security challenges know no borders. Yet the role of women in addressing adversities varies dramatically across regions and industries. In some regions, women security professionals build trust in situations where male counterparts cannot, while in others, they must carefully balance traditional expectations with professional demands. This interplay of cultural awareness and security expertise has proven invaluable as threats increasingly demand solutions that transcend conventional approaches and social boundaries.
Women are part of our society, and we interact with technology in different ways than men do. The threat vectors that women present are not going to be considered or seen or understood unless you have women thinking and part of defining what the threats and the solutions are.
So one of my best friends in graduate school, who's still one of my best friends, entered the industry when I did, and we went to a big ASIS seminar. We were, I think, two of the only women in a room of probably 100 or more. But I kept noticing that throughout the seminar, and there were lots of different speakers, she would keep jotting down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with a cross through it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I thought she was just doodling. I wasn't sure what she was doing. When the facilitator asked for final comments or any feedback, she raised her hand and she said,
I've really enjoyed this seminar, but I just need to state that during this whole 4-day period, there were 564 mentions of the male gender pronouns, assuming that there are only males in this industry.
Frankly, at the time, I wanted to crawl under the table. I was mortified. I was embarrassed. I admired her for doing that. In retrospect, I think it was the wrong thing to do publicly. I think she could have talked to him privately. She could have told the people that ran the conference. But it was extremely upsetting to her. And I'm sure that people in that room had very different reactions to her doing that and saying it publicly. On the other hand, in lots of people doing that over the years, it's probably changed people using the male gender pronoun a lot.
When you're on a team, then every team member should be respected the same, should be treated the same, should be valued the same. You're not valued by how much you bring to the table. You're valued by what you bring to the table. And that is where the difference is going to be. So in cybersecurity, we have threats and we have vulnerabilities. So our threat actors are not taking a break, not one day. The different threat actors we have, they pop up with different scenarios all the time. And so you need this 19-year-old on your team. You need this person who's been in security for 30 years on your team. You need the ideas of a male. You need the ideas of a female. You need the ideas of people from different countries, because bringing all those ideas together help you fight the threat. And that is the purpose of your field, because there are threats that you need to counteract. There are threats that you need to stop, whether it is in physical security, police officers, security guards, data loss prevention, or whether it's in cybersecurity, and that's all your cyber threats. Your goal, your mission is to reduce the risk and stop the threats. But if you don't know how they think, then how are you going to do your job effectively? And it's not on one person to do that, it's on a team to do that. And that is the reason that diversity is so important, because you bring all those fresh perspectives, you bring all of those perceptions, you bring all of those scenarios to the table.
So I think diversity and inclusion in the security space, again, I always tie that back to our internal partners, our customers that we're supporting. So we need to understand everyone that we're supporting. So we have to be mindful of the diversity. We have to be mindful of inclusion. For example, if we are planning to host a meeting, we need to understand our teams and the diversity of our teams to ensure that that experience and that environment is going to be comfortable for all. Whether that's in the planning phases, in real-time discussions, it's important to understand who's on your team and what they're about in order for them to be in a culture where they feel safe, protected, but I think also it helps us retain our talent by ensuring that not only are we recruiting and bringing leaders in, attracting them into the roles, but helping them develop, understanding who they are, helping them stay engaged with knowing who they are, and in doing so, we'll ensure that we're retaining that talent.
To this day, I'm probably in some situations the only woman in a room. And that's why, being part of, I've led many women in tech groups, many women in cybersecurity groups, and it's really working together. So it's in making sure that these groups are open to all genders and all backgrounds, all diverse backgrounds, because we're all in it together. So we learn from each other, and having the true working experience representation in these groups allows us to learn from each other and grow together.
When you look at diversity and inclusion in different types of security, it's imperative to have the different voices there. And when I look at on the physical security side, if I took people from one background and then I put them in a store or a scenario and they only came from their background, it's not going to help me find the answers. If there's theft going on, if there's drug trade going on, because they're only going to look at things through their lens. And so bringing in people of diverse nature, diverse color, male, female, you can find things out all the time. I go back to years ago. I was in the FBI and I was doing an undercover drug operation in outside of Newark, New Jersey. And in that scenario, I had a female Hispanic woman who was my undercover agent. But nobody would think that Martha was an undercover, because here she is a woman. She was a waitress at a local restaurant. And Martha actually helped me tap in to an organization bringing in over 10,000 kilos of cocaine.
I've got something. Come back tomorrow? Same time?
I knew Martha could do the job, and I knew she had the diverse characteristics I need. She helped me in a way that I would have never been able to do myself.
Hi. They're meeting at the warehouse on 5th Street. That's where the shipment is coming in.
Are you sure about the time and location?
Yes. I overheard them.
Warehouse on 5th Street.
We'll coordinate with the state police for the takedown.
Just be careful. These guys are dangerous. If they suspect anything,
we've got you covered.
Just by developing a relationship with her, she wanted to talk to me because I was a female agent versus a male agent, and she could trust me.
Behind every successful security professional stands a network of supporters and allies who saw potential and opened doors. For women who entered the field in its early days, these mentors were typically seasoned male professionals who recognized talent regardless of gender. They sometimes put their own professional reputations on the line as advocates for non-traditional hires. Their guidance, combined with the growing support of professional associations and industry programs that strengthened security teams, created pathways for women to advance and thrive. Today's current and emerging leaders often credit their success to someone who encouraged them to take on challenging assignments or voice their insights. These women also recognize the need to pay it forward to build a supportive environment for future generations.
I believe that mentorship and allyship are absolutely critical to helping women advance in their careers, especially in the security industry. I've been really fortunate to have incredible mentors who have challenged me to be better and think bigger and feel that confidence in myself. And when we have great allies who believe in us, that makes it easier for us to believe in ourselves.
One of the things I've dealt with throughout my career is that I've not had a mentor. So, no one to really look up to, no one to kind of bounce ideas off of, which resulted in me making a lot of mistakes, missing out on a lot of opportunities, probably wasting or losing out on a lot of money as well. But I think later in my career, once I kind of established my footing and moved up the ranks a bit, I have run into some folks that have sort of changed my view and helped me see things, helped me make better decisions to kind of move my career forward. One of those was a leader at an organization that I worked at. And this leader saw something in me that I just didn't see in myself. And they made me aware of it and then went the distance to give me opportunities or put me in positions where I could provide strategy or solve problems to prove these things to myself. And that just opened my mind up so much and caused me to have more confidence and believe in myself. And it was the first time I really realized that having someone believe in you and tell you that you are doing the right things and you are thinking the right way can just go so far for confidence and helping someone feel good about the path they're on in their career.
I have several mentors and allies, so many leaders who have poured into my cup so that I can pour into others. One leader in particular was a direct manager of mine most recently, who I actually onboarded and helped trained. And it was a leader who thought of me, sponsored me, made sure that my voice was, being heard, and also that my name was being stated in the rooms that I wasn't in. And that really translated over time, even when I did not work with him directly. He always made sure that he checked in with me, understood what I was doing to progress in my career, and also holding me accountable to my goals and what I wanted to aspire to be as a leader. So I've worked with him multiple times, but it was really those moments where I wasn't working with him directly that he continued to stay connected to me and really help me develop in my role, even when I wasn't working with him directly. Just really inspired me that he was so invested in my success.
I would also like to see change is more male allyship. There's a difference between allyship and friendship. A lot of women in the industry have many male friends, but are they true allies? Are they courageous? Are they willing to stand up in a room? Are they willing to make introduction for women into the leadership circles? That's what's going to be important, is the men that are not afraid of what their male counterparts may say or joke or look at them as if they stand up for women or push women forward. It's going to be critical to continue to see those allies for the advancement of women to be able to push past a lot of those challenges and move us forward.
I think as a woman in the security industry, which is a male-dominated industry traditionally, as women try to compete and make our way, I know as I was trying to make my way, the opportunities weren't always there So you're always vying for them, and you're competing with your male colleagues as well. And I think because you're constantly vying for your position, trying to make your way, get that experience so you can continue growing, I think we don't stop. Later in my career, I definitely looked over my shoulder and said, time out. I have something to give. I've been through some rough experiences, and I know how to navigate them now. I have tenure, institutional knowledge, and relationships to help others. I did that personally by becoming the Secret Service Agency President to the Federal Law Enforcement Officers Association. FLEOA is a nonprofit organization that represents 65 federal law enforcement agencies and nearly 33,000 members. My role as agency president was immensely rewarding because it afforded me that opportunity to help others navigate difficult situations.
We need more formal mentorship programs. We need more creative recruiting. A lot of people still have no idea what this whole enterprise security, risk management, security management, private security world is all about. They have no idea that the various arms of it, that you can go into technology, you can go into cyber, you can go into consulting, you can go into research, you can go into data analysis, you can go into executive protection, you can go into investigations, you can go into straight management, that there's so many different ways to use your skill sets, that it's lucrative, and that it's fast growing, still growing at a very double-digit rate every year. And I've seen so many women love this field and be successful in it, and other minorities too. As we all know, diversity is so critical to any good industry, and having that, cosmopolitan of ideas and differences and backgrounds and skill sets. But I think we sometimes have to go after these people, whether it be in graduate schools or other places, and really help them to understand what this world is all about. I know that when I was teaching, people often took the class because it was a class they needed, but they intended to go somewhere else in a different type of law enforcement. And when they really understood the depth and breadth and amazingness of this field, you can tell I'm very passionate about it, they went into this field, and I've seen so many of them, men and women alike, who have done extraordinarily well and just gone beyond anything I could have imagined.
My time growing up and participating in our high school robotics program, and I had a mentor there, a gentleman who really put a lot of trust into me at a young age to do the fundraising for the team, to manage the trips, sometimes, out of state with flights and hotels with, a rowdy group of 20 high schoolers. There was never a point where he said, oh, I think we should let the adults deal with this or put that responsibility in someone else's hands. He fully trusted in me to be able to organize all of this stuff. And I think that was really impactful and empowering because that showed me early on that I can do important things.
While I was still in the process of applying, I went to a local police department and I walked in, filled out the paperwork, and did a ride-along with a sergeant. And that sergeant to this day is not only a dear friend of mine, but also throughout my career was my mentor. His name is Rob Whalen. Rob was and has been the person I go to this day because I'm still in security when I need guidance, when I have questions about process, or I just need somebody to listen to thoughts I'm having, if I'm headed in the right direction, or if I need basically any other career advice, I still go to him to this day. So yeah, Rob.
We all have different individuals that believe in us before we might even believe in ourselves. And really early in my career, that gentleman's name is Eric Spangler, the late Eric Spangler. And when I was working with him, he saw something in that passion in me that encouraged me to take on more clients and continue working in this space. And even at one point in my career where I had someone that wanted to hire me full-time, get me out of the contractor world and go into a full-time position, he was the one that really just saw this spark in me. And he's like, don't let that spark fade. Continue shining bright and continue, like, this space in cybersecurity needs someone like you.
Prior to my joining the FBI, there was 1% women in the FBI, and a civil suit had just gone against the FBI, and they had to raise the bar to a full 10% women. And so now, as you see more women in law enforcement and more women in the military, which are all feeders to the security industry, you're starting to see these great women who have had great military careers or great law enforcement careers now coming out to be heads of security at corporations. So what I saw, even going to a trade show or on security, I was trying to find out some information about airplane security. The corporation I was with had 2 airplanes, and I was looking at how to secure them.
Hi, I'm Maureen Allison. I'm with a corporation that owns 2 airplanes, and I'm looking into security options.
Well, you came to the right place. We specialize in top-of-the-line airplane security. What sort of solutions were we looking for? Is it a single-engine Cessna, twin-engine Beechcraft, or a vintage Warbird? Will you be using the aircraft mainly for personal recreation, flight classes, or commercial purposes? As you can see, we have a lot of different options. I would personally go with option A.
I need to hear more about airplane security.
Well, you've come to the right place. We specialize in top-of-the-line airplane security. What sort of solutions were we looking for? Is it a single-engine Cessna, twin-engine Beechcraft, or a vintage Warbird? Are you using it mainly for personal recreation, flight classes, or commercial purposes?
Excuse me. I'm still trying to get information on my airplanes.
Sorry. As you can see, we have many different options. Option A is probably going to be
it was
the
disappointing, but I walked on and, there's another airplane security vendor that was very happy because they wanted to talk to me and they got the sale. I can make choices, and I don't have to buy, everybody sells the best security product, but the reality is brand A and brand B are probably pretty close. I buy the one that leads with diversity and inclusion and not the one that wants to just be a sale because they think I should buy their product.
The security landscape of tomorrow is being written today. Not just through technology, but through the people behind it. As threats become more sophisticated in both physical and digital worlds, the industry demands fresh thinking and innovative approaches that go beyond conventional solutions. Women security leaders are increasingly at this intersection of challenge and opportunity, bringing valuable perspective to complex problems. For young women, looking towards the horizon of this dynamic field, the path is clearer than ever before. The voices of today's pioneers offer both a roadmap and an invitation to reimagine security in ways previous generations could only dream of.
I believe in the future we are going to see more women-owned security companies in the industry. I believe we are also going to see an uptick of security installers being women engineers. I believe that the representation that we see today in rooms and conferences is still alarming, especially to some of the industries. Like I mentioned before, I was very close to logistics, and I still go to conferences today where of 130, 150 attendees, only 12 of them are women.
Now, when I was in the military, this was not a problem because in the military, a soldier is a soldier, and there's no delineation between male and female. But being in the civilian world, then I have seen where women have took a stance in being assertive and being confident in being in security positions. And that really has propelled them to a level more than what is typically seen, where the woman is always working behind the scenes and she could give an idea and pass it on to a male, and that male would be able to speak for her. But women today are now speaking for themselves, and they're standing up and they have that confidence to say, yes, this is a good idea.
The work that we do today with our associations, I head up a Women in Cyber affiliate in Canada, is great, but we're focusing on adults. And what we don't have that other countries do, and I think we really need to start investing more time and resources and thought into, is building cybersecurity into education for it to become a natural part of what our kids learn, so that like English, like math, cybersecurity, it can be done by everyone. And that, I think, will have more of an impact on shifting the culture than what we're seeing today.
If you like to be challenged and you like to push yourself and see what you can do, I think a young woman or girl should consider a career in security because it's so rewarding. If you have that curiosity about yourself, you have that drive, if you have a bit of competitiveness in you, I think this could be a wonderful career for you in the security industry.
I would love to see a change in the industry that is already underway, but continuing to deepen the understanding and recognition that all of these different perspectives ultimately make the security industry stronger. I would love to see more women in positions of leadership. I would love to see more people with different backgrounds and skill sets being represented, because only when we can all come together can we really address the challenges and security threats that are increasing in today's day and age.
It's important to open opportunities up for women and to help them feel included in every conversation. The chair roles or the board positions or even internal roles at your own organization, having the representation of women in those positions will help keep women feeling like they're important and that they're heard and that there's more to come and that inclusivity is important.
For many women in security, the work is more than a job. It's a calling. It's the quiet pride of protecting lives, the rush of solving complex problems, the strength of knowing you made a difference. Whether analyzing threats behind a screen or leading teams in the field, these women carry a deep sense of purpose. In a world full of risk, they bring resilience, insight, and heart.
What's gratifying is the ability to problem solve and to help others. And at the end of the day, what we do in security it's a matter of life and death. Oftentimes, it's life safety, and that's impactful. Everybody has to find a way to make a living. It's important that people go to work and they're able to come home to their families. And being a part of that, from whichever standpoint within the industry, whatever role you have, we all collectively attribute to that or contribute to that. That's the part that I find most impactful and gratifying in this role.
Terror at the Boston Marathon, turning a day of joy into a deadly nightmare.
Nobody can prepare you for what something like that is like. You have a marathon with hundreds and hundreds of thousands of spectators and thousands of runners.
All doctors to the ER.
We had 23 people in emergency surgery within 20 minutes after the explosions went off. The whole city was trying to determine if there were explosive devices other places. There was mass pandemonium. Many people came who thought they were hit by the explosive device that weren't, but they were in such immediate trauma. We had massive amounts of media. We had National Guard. We had a lot of law enforcement resources. And it was very tough. And the monsters that did this weren't caught for, as you know, 4 or 5 days. So we had numerous patients, numerous heartache, significant people wrapped around the whole perimeter of our 6-block area wanting to give blood. And people that were exhausted, physicians, nurses, other caregivers, certainly security personnel who didn't go home for several days. President Obama came on Thursday. I was about to go home Wednesday night after having been there 3 days, and I got a call he would be there for many hours the next day to meet with the patients and their families, which was wonderful, but we had to do a very, very quick advance and get the place ready. And I remember feeling very demoralized, and I was walking up the main corridor, and 2 nurses were walking in front of me. They didn't see me. And one was crying, and she said, "I just want to leave. I'm scared. I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. I'm really scared." And the other one put her arm around her, and she said, "You don't have to be scared. We have the best police department of anyone in the world, and they always take care of us and protect us." And I remember thinking, okay, what we're doing makes a difference. What we're doing makes sense. This is important work. I know that. I knew that in my head, but hearing that was massive for me.
As a security professional, you can take your skill set and apply it to any industry. You have best practices, you have skills, tools, all those things that you know pick up along the way, and As long as you're a practitioner of security, now you can work at an airport, luxury hotel business. You can work in finance. The fundamentals and the principles are the same.
I think this industry is unique, that there is openness to more women and more diversity to come into this group. There's such a focus and so many opportunities to come in, create your own career path, and really step into your whole, getting out of your comfort zone, constant learning and growing, which I think is just rewarding for anyone.
Now that I'm in the management side, I see that the changes haven't really happened. I see a huge number of men in management, but I don't see so many women. But I don't think that this is specific to just cybersecurity. I think that is kind of relevant across practically all industries, except for privacy. In privacy, we see a lot of women in senior management roles. That would be the key change that I've seen taking place. I also think the subject matter itself, cybersecurity used to be about widgets and gadgets and firewalls and gizmos and very technical. Cybersecurity is now about cyber resilience. It's now about regulation. It's changed in terms of subject matter. It's a huge domain now that crosses through so many different avenues of the business. It's really about understanding how a business works and where risks are rather than technology.
There are going to be some technical security skills that are extremely important. Those security skills, understanding the laws of the nation, understanding what you can and cannot do in what states are very important. But as a leader in security, the most important is having the leadership qualities necessary to run a large, diverse organization. And that is, the very first one is listening, and it's compassion, it's having grit, and when all others are ready to give up, saying, hey, I got this, I can make this happen, and pumping up your team. Because there is so many times, I remember as a second lieutenant, wet and cold on some range somewhere, and as soon as I said, oh my God, I feel miserable, my team was miserable. As soon as I said, we got this, we're gonna do it, and get that grit to make it happen, everyone pumps up and gets it done. So we talk about the technical skills of physical security, IT security, important, but the best skills are leadership skills and tenacity.
Security has always been about protecting what matters most. From boardrooms to battlefields, from physical spaces to digital realms, women have transformed this industry by asking different questions and helping find different solutions. Their journeys, often unexpected and always remarkable, reveal that security's strength lies not in uniformity, but in multiplicity of thought. Alongside them stand the male allies and mentors who recognize talent regardless of gender, who open doors and champion change within organizations. Together, they've created pathways that didn't exist before. As threats evolve, so too must our approach. This shared legacy isn't just about the past. It's a blueprint for a future where security is strengthened by the full spectrum of human potential.
To any young women or girls out there who are considering joining the security industry, I would say you are welcome here. The security industry needs different perspectives to make sure that we're really addressing challenges at the root cause. So for anyone considering it, I would say lean in. It's an industry where you can have a positive impact on your team, your community, and ultimately the world.
The reason that I think women should seek positions in the security field is because we're trying to shift a paradigm. And in order to do that, then we need you. We need you to be in the field of security to break that glass ceiling that we have been talking about for decades, to get to that level of equity that we seek to build here in this industry. And we cannot do it without you.
I think it's what makes us that much stronger and that much more capable and really true leaders in this industry because of our world experiences, because of how we have to navigate the world each and every day as women with our identities. And so I would absolutely recommend that not only you get into security, but please stay in security, and please don't let other people deter you as they may try to do at points in your journey, because we need you and we need more women in positions of power in the security industry for the security of ourselves, our families, our society, and the world.
Really, what we're finding from our members is within the security profession, it's so ever evolving. It's so fast paced. No 2 days are ever the same. And also the career growth and advancement opportunities are so plentiful. So there's so many spaces that women could go within cybersecurity. And then once they get in, let their curiosity continue to navigate them throughout their careers, even up to, leadership and executive roles. That's really where we want to see more women. It's hard to be what you cannot see, and we need that really strong female representation at those higher level positions as well. So with us, we're seeing a lot of individuals stepping into the space because of that powerful mission focused and really moving forward because they believe in it, the good work that they're doing. It's saving and protecting communities and families and individuals and companies that they work for. So it's a really powerful space to be in, and they're stepping up for the challenge each and every day for it.
The one piece of advice that I often give to younger professionals, especially women, is when you begin to see success and you are awarded roles that you rightfully deserve, oftentimes when you look around, those that you see that are successful in that role are males. And so oftentimes it's easy for women to then take a look at their game plan. How did the males become successful? What was their playbook? What do they do? How do I mirror that? Because I want to be successful too. And that oftentimes is not the direction that I recommend women take. It's your uniqueness as a woman. It's your different skill sets, your perspective, your creativity, your attention to detail, all of those things that got you the role to begin with, all of those things that people see as a value add to the organization, to the team, to the group, to the project. Continue to believe in yourself, be authentic to your strategy, to how you problem solve, for your contributions, and not feeling like in order to be successful, even though you may not see the representation at the leadership level with women, your playbook does not need to read the same as your male counterparts. So be authentic to who you are, trust your process, continue to learn and grow. And that's the value that you bring. And that's so needed in the industry, again, to support the diversity of thought and really move us forward.
I would say be curious as much as possible around all of the potential avenues and pathways that come with the security industry. There are so many challenges and opportunities available to us, and our future is bright in the space. There's so much, changing and evolving over time as we experience challenges. And so there's a great opportunity for innovation and thought and new ideas. And I think that is one of the most exciting things for us in the security industry, is to be able to come in, and maybe we don't have the background of 30 plus years, but we have fresh new ideas that can be brought into these discussions.
I think we've made huge inroads, and I'll say that. I don't think it's been enough, and I can't wait for more. I taught in the graduate school part-time at Northeastern University for 25 years, a lot of security management and technology and advanced leadership courses, and my classes were for the most part men. And the last class I taught a few years ago, I walked into the room and there was a room full of women, and I actually turned around, true story, and walked out and said, "I'm sorry, I have the wrong room." And one of them came out after me and she said, "Advanced Security Management?" And I said, "Yes." And she said, "You have the right room." And that class was all women and one man. And I thought, okay, my work is a little bit done here.